Hi everyone, it's so nice to be here today. Now, I want you to take a look at this image. I believe most of you see bullying. But what if I tell you that I see something else? I see what happens when we stop connecting. Now let's take a look at another image, which I believe many of you here see discrimination. But again, I see something else. I see what happens when we refuse to understand. Now, while these two images seem like they have nothing alike, they do share something in common. That people who are different from the majority are usually not understood and respected. Their differences turn into something called labels. You're so poor you cannot even dress properly, or you're such a weirdo. Labels. Labels turn into distance, and distance eventually turns into conflicts. Problems like these don't just happen for no reason. They happen because we are no longer trying to understand one another within our community. And in life, sometimes we're too focused on moving forward that we forgot to look around and care for other people. And that's when we lose something called a sense of community. Which is why I believe this topic doesn't just matter to me or to you, but it matters to every one of us. And maybe harmony isn't just about individuals, but it's about individuals existing together as a community. So, what is a community? Well, a class, a company, there are different communities, and even people sitting in this hall right now form a community. So this word itself has, a lot of meanings. But for me, community isn't just about people sharing the same space, but it's also about people connected by love, care, and a sense of belonging. But there's one problem. Community and harmony sound really familiar to us, right? We read them in books, heard them on TVs, and we are taught in schools. But do you think that we are rather better at talking about them than practicing them? Let me tell you a story. I was driving past a park the other day when I saw a young man, and he was walking down a flight of stairs with a white cane in his hand. And he seemed a little unsure of his directions. A lot of people were there, yet no one helped him. Well, some glanced, some ignored, and some even whispered about him. But yet, no one stopped. And that made me wonder something. That if we do really value community's harmony, why did no one help him? Maybe because they thought somebody else would? Well, it's not unusual to think so. But I believe that whatever the reason was, it would have taken only a small moment to help the young man. And yet, in that moment, no one chose to act. So you see, harmony may be really familiar to us as a word, but it seems like it is far less familiar as an action. Now I want to share with you something about myself. That I used to be a really, really shy kid. I used to fear judgments, criticisms, and even opportunities because trying meant taking risks and was almost equal to failure for me back then. So most of the time, I chose not to try at all. And honestly, even this competition made me hesitate in the first place. But I joined it anyway. And upon joining it, it gave me something that I never really had: confidence. So a few days after the TEDx coaching session, I joined one of my first ever bonding events. Here's the picture of it. Well, I had a great time. I had a lot of fun. But when I saw the event's registration form, questions started to pop up in my head again that made me doubtful. So I'm the new member, and I don't know anyone there, and no one's gonna talk to me, and I'm gonna look so awkward. And with all those thoughts, I wouldn't have filled in the form. But in the end, I did. And when I stood at the entrance, looking into the room full of people, I was like, no, 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 no. I cannot do this. I can't do this. And I was about to turn around and leave. But I stepped inside and I walked to a group of friends and I said, hi. And honestly, it was so much simpler than I imagined that now I'm looking back, I realized I didn't need something glamorous to change me. But all I needed was just knowing that there will always be people who trust and welcome me before I got the confidence to do the same things to myself. So I'm not just speaking of harmony because I have to like the topic to talk about. But harmony was what that changed me and gave me the opportunity to just be myself today. What I'm holding here is a bag of candies. And honestly, to have a bag of candies to myself sounds so nice. But if I keep them to myself, then I'm the only one who gets to enjoy them. No. Let's share them. Now, if I share them, then a lot more people get to enjoy them with me. So you see, harmony, it works just the same. It doesn't happen because those candies exist. It happens because those candies are spread. And I was given this little piece of candy while I was in my 7th grade. Well, not literally, but quite close. At the beginning of my 7th grade, I used to have no friends. And every day I went to school, I'd just sit at my desk in the corner of the class and secretly hoping somebody would come and talk to me. But for the first entire week, no one did. And I felt invisible. I didn't want to go to school. Until one day, this girl, she walked over to me and she said, hi. And we had a really short conversation. But it gave me something that I never realized I needed. A sense of belonging. And that seemingly small interaction taught me the power of reaching out. So a few weeks after, a new student moved into my class, and just like how I used to be in the first days of school, he would just sit at his desk with no one to talk to. And when I looked at him, I was like, oh, all he needed was just somebody willing to say hi. And I walked over to him, sat down next to him, and I said, hi, what's your name? And that's how I made a new friend that day. So you see, communities, they don't need anything big and loud and grand to grow. They only need kindness, simple kindness like a hi or a smile. Of course, we all want to live in a loving and a caring community because we want friendships, understanding our values to be seen and respected. It's undeniable that we all have a desire for those things. But those beautiful results are rarely created from grand actions. Instead, they begin with simpler ones. Like a seed. At first, it may seem too small, too insignificant to carry any value on its own. but with enough time and water and sunlight and the gardener's care, that it grows to be something far greater, far more beautiful than what it used to be. So, why don't we all be the gardener who nurtures the seed of harmony? Because I believe that within a community, this seed is nowhere to be found. It's grown. Thank you.